Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is what I've been thinking. I am your, I guess I don't want to say humble host because I know somebody else says that,
No.
but I am your host, um Marcus Cage. I am here with my beloved co-host
Thank you.
Brandon Buchanan and Miss Sade. So good to have her back here. Have that strong, powerful black beautiful woman's voice. That we've been. We've had her root back, but we've kind of been a little double dutch. Everybody has their things going on in the real world, so I'm definitely sympathetic to all of those things. So, but it's definitely, I feel like I'm honored whenever we're able to have you in the house. So, how have you been doing, Sade?
Great. I'm getting back. I'm just tired of everything. That's
Hey, well, let it out here today. Let it out. I mean, I know how you are. You're not for cutting the corners. You lay it out there. And so I think this is a time where more people need to hear the more real, unwashed, unvarnished truth, whether they like it or not. You
I
know,
mean, the truth is washed a little. Like it puts some soap on. It gets clean. It puts on a suit. Truth looks good when you are really ready to meet it. The truth don't look that bad. So yeah,
mhm.
it can be a little washed, but it is unvarnished. So it's good to be doing that.
Oh yeah. I mean, one story that I've been hearing about that I guess that I feel it wouldn't be right for me not to talk about at least and hear other perspectives is the Dion K police involved shooting, because you have the normal camps which split each different way, and on this one, this is one of those situations where I have to be honest with what I'm seeing, and if somebody has a firearm, we all know better, and so that's my point of view. Maybe I missed some things. Oh, what do you think, Sade?
you mean when you're talking about people not obeying the police or what? Because
Well,
I stopped watching those videos. I'm telling
oh
you, I
yeah,
don't watch these shootings no
I,
more. I'm
I,
tired. I can't breathe. Like I say, I stop it. I don't watch any videos. So don't ask me after George Floyd. Don't ask me anything. I don't know what's going on with those videos. I don't
mhm.
watch it. When I hear a black man got shot, I'm not watching because
Well,
I'm
I, I,
not ready
I
for the
completely,
frustration.
I completely understand that, and I just only ask because I know that this has been the issue which a whole lot of people have been all up in
Yeah,
arms about.
you no matter how much a black man obeys the police, we still end up with fatal shootings. I see white people, I mean, fight the police, do a lot of things, but they still get arrested. I'm not saying justice should not prevail. Whoever does something wrong, there are laws. Go by the rules, regulations, arrest them, you know, put them in jail, do something. You're not the police are not the judiciary system, you know. There's a way of doing this, killing people for no reason. I'm just sick of it. I'm tired. I can't breathe. I'm tired.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm not gonna have a lot to add because I also did not feel like watching that video because, as you recall, my uncle passed like last week, and I've been going through the funeral, and yeah, I just didn't want that on my mood at all. So I also have not watched or participated in that at all.
Yeah, I just feel like the
But
only
you can
reason why.
describe it to us,
I,
and we can
well,
like,
no, I don't want to talk about it as in the whole chopping it up back and forth,
right.
because what Sade said kind of speaks for a lot of my feelings on it, because um a lot of times I feel like we're getting stuck in the mud on rehashing these same situations, and we kind of know how it's going to lay out, and okay, there's that one chance where okay, maybe the person was in the wrong, and you get what I'm saying, but we know what the overall picture is. And what I started to question on my other show, because on that show, I forced myself to step outside of the normal political parameters and just question like everything. And the one thing I start noticing is these kind of shootings. We all know these incidents all happen between police all the time. But I start noticing it's weird how they release them. Some you get that 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later. Why are we getting these? Like, it seems like when everything starts to calm down and everybody starts to settle and start to try to focus on different ways of handling things.
Well, Marcus,
then something gets started back up again.
Well, Marcus, when you talk about releasing videos on a certain time frame, are we talking about released by the police? And in which case, I can just tell you, like, they released it on the timetable that looks good for them. If it's like a clear suicide by cop or something like that, where the dude is clearly wilding, then like that video tends to come out really quickly. If it's something that involves something that's more damaging, it comes out later or not at all. Like, if you mean in terms of like the media, why is there publicity? Why is there promotion? Well, first of all, I would say I live in Atlanta. Things have not calmed down. What's calmed down is media coverage. I talked to Gregory McKelvey once in a while. I talked to him last week. He's in Portland. It has not calmed down. They're on day 100 right now, straight all the way through. You go to New York, it does not calm down. So when we talk about, things were just starting to simmer down, these things started to get less media coverage. Injustice didn't cease. And one of the reasons why we see so many of these videos, Marcus, is because cops shoot a lot of black people and they do it on video. And now that we're in the mood to be like shocked and awed, and we're all in this media system, and that's what you need more than a political matrix. You need a media matrix. This system.
Well, it talks about that too.
I know. I've watched parts of. I know, but that this media system that feeds us like anguish, like in a fucking IV, like not even like pain anymore, but just anguish. Because of that, they're profiting off both ends. The developers make money from keeping the police employed. The weapons manufacturers make money from keeping these police armed. These armies overseas, they make money off of training these police to brutalize people that live here.
That's C right there. We need to get rid of C, capitalism. That's the disease right there, cancer.
And in the media, they get rich after the shooting happens. They tape it and sell advertising so that the white business owners can get rich off the back of that. So, that big C is an underlying problem in all of this.
The big C. I call it the big C.
And see, that's exactly why I asked that question, because it's so many layers to peel apart from that one question, because so many different people have so many different motivations why they want to do things.
These shootings stop and they got to make some drama off something else, right?
I'm busy right now.
Because I look at it, you can say advertisers are going to make their money this way. You can say people who want to stoke up, more provocations are going to talk about it their way. You're going to have the people who are genuinely, hurt every time that these kind of situations happen, because it might be something that might be new to them. And so they're emotionally, involved. And then you have those people who are on the other side who, no matter what, they want to push against it. And so I almost look at it's like, if these people are the same, like the media, I'm talking about media companies. If these same media companies are the same ones who do all the polls and all the research on all these different things and communicate with all these different campuses, they know like the anger index out there. They know who's upset with who. And I just find it dubious, some of the things which they decide to cover with what the information which they know of what's going on in the community at the time.
And like you mentioned people being exposed to these kind of things for the first time. And I can't help but think of like Kirk Herbstreit, I think ESPN, who was just talking about like, man, if you have, humanity and empathy, you hear these stories and you want to like do something about it. He started crying. And I tried to think of like, although like he was crying, it was very sad, but I also tried to think of like, how often are black people crying about this stuff? Like so many people, like just feel I can't watch it. I'm cut off from it. Like no tears left to cry. Like we've been so far into it, introduced to it, lived through it, that for a lot of people that's just like background information. That's just like facts of life. And yeah, there are a lot of people who are being introduced to this for the very first time, and they have their media
like a trauma to me. You know, it's like a trauma. I mean, you keep going through the same thing over and over. It gets to a point you don't want to see it no more. You feel the pain already. Yeah. You know, you're going through it. So we don't need any more pictures or any more videos to so that we can. We don't need any more of those videos.
Yeah, it's been enough videos. It's been enough begging. The actual last time I cried at one of these instances was Elijah McClain, because it was so long and he like literally begged those people for his life. Like usually those things are so violent and so like fast.
Exactly.
Like, and then the cop defenders go on. It's like, well, in the space of 6 seconds, you don't know what's happening when somebody reaches for the gun. If somebody like begs for like 7 or 8 minutes, that's just like a cold, ruthless act, right? So there's no like, oh, was I right to fear this person or not? Or was this person unarmed, or did I think they were armed? It was just so flat.
What was the name of the guy who came from one city to the other to kill protesters? What's the name of that guy?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Huh?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Exactly. Just imagine that situation. Put a black man in that situation and watch what happened, you know? So I don't want to hear about, oh, he should have known better. He should have obeyed the police. This is a systemic thing. It's racism at every level. These police are filled with KKK, you know, this ignorant and what you call it, I don't know how to describe them. They are full of hate, you know, and they see the uniform as a protection to cover up. You know, these people are white nationalists, they are white supremacists, and they are using the uniform to cover for their cover. And they go out there and they are determined to kill black people, especially black men, because black men are kind of a threat to their livelihood. I don't know. I'm so sick of this thing. I don't know how to talk about it anymore. And every time I start talking about it, I stutter or I get frustrated. My words cannot come out on this issue, on this killing of black men issue. My words don't get out. I don't know how to express. I get frustrated, you know. So I don't know.
And I mean,
I just can't give up at this point. I think we should keep fighting, but it's really frustrating and infuriating. It's just frustrating.
And women. Like, let's not forget. I mean, it's everybody in this one.
You know, and it's interesting that you would bring that up because on Twitter I was seeing somebody asked the question of how many good cops do you know? And it got into the debate of, okay, are they just good cops to you? Or what happens once they leave the neighborhood? What happens once they take their uniform off? Are they a nice guy while they're at the church and while they're at the bowling alley and, you know, soccer game with the kids? But what happens when they put that uniform on and they take a call on the other side of town? What happens then?
I mean, everybody's nice to their families. Well, you know, not everybody's nice to family, but anybody can be nice to their family is a better way to put that. Anybody can be nice to their family. That's not really the test of character. It's also not really a test of character whether you're like nice to people who are at your job and that's something you get paid to do, or at your church where it's people that are like spirit. It's how you treat others. It's how you treat people who are outside of your immediate fucking group, your immediate clique. It's how you treat the people who work for you, whether that's like an employer, even if it's somebody that's making you food and bringing it to you. Like that's a much better way to determine what somebody's character or ethics are like. And when you look at people like this, you ask them, how should other people be treated? Like you ask them, how should women be treated? You ask them, how should children be treated? You ask them how the poor should be treated, and that, I think, gives you a better idea of their actual principles than like testimonials from their drinking buddies. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, some people are, well, you know, they're Republican, but it's a good person. And I'm like, good in what sense? You know, we all have to kind of grapple with. I mean, listen, to some degree, we are all culpable for what goes on in society. So I'm not saying like once you vote blue or if you're a left winger or whatever, you're a redeemed as a human being. All of us literally have flaws, and we all have places where we contribute to injustice. But there are scales, there are degrees, and when you're seeing the kind of stuff that we're seeing on the news right now, and you don't like see that and think that's wrong, like that's to a different degree as far as I am concerned. That's a wild degree, because this is basic human rights that we are talking about here.
I mean, exactly. I guess. Oh, I see. We have a couple of chats in there. Alyssa Vieira, my co-host on the Annihilation Cage.
Oh, no.
Hello, Alyssa. She says it's like a cycle too, where they parentheses police are creating violence too. They can pretend they are needed. Yes. It says 40% aren't even nice to their families. So I mean, I would not doubt that either. I mean, a lot of officers have a high rate of divorce. A lot of them also have a lot of issues with their children being taken away and alcoholism. So, I mean, it you know, the facts are what they are. I mean, I'm not here to try to recreate some new image or try to shine things on for anybody. I guess another issue that I wanted to talk about, with all that's been going on with Black Lives Matter, the organization, not the movement itself, because I look at them as two different things. I'm still a part of the Black Lives Matter movement,
Right.
where that's the on the streets. We're pushing for certain specific legislation and goals, and we support specific things. But the organization, how do you feel about that? Because I feel on some things they're almost trying to do too many things with the Black Lives Matter movement. Like I heard something about like climate change and stuff added into it, and I'm like, what? I mean, it's getting to, and when you start adding way too many things onto the plate, what normally seems to happen, and people can beat me up for this if they want to, it seems like the black people always get the short end of the stick when you start adding all this other stuff onto the plate. Now, I'm not against, pushing for other causes, but when you start trying to pile everything onto the Black Lives Matter movement, what do you think?
Can I make a point on this issue?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I've noticed, I've not done my research on it. I'll do my research on Black Lives Matters and get back. But what I want to warn is that if Black Lives Matters, if they want to be an organization, they should stick to that. The moment they start adding stuff, they will become political. And when you become political, and it's not going to work at the end of the day, because it become a political something that is going to be between the left and the right, and issues would not be resolved. So that's what I noticed about the Black Lives Matter movement, not the movement itself, but the organization. I'm having some doubt with them these days. I've not done my research. I can't say, oh, definitely no, but I'm going to do my research, and I'm starting to doubt the organization and the organizers of Black Lives Movement. Not all of them, but I'm having some feelings and thoughts about this issue. Yeah.
Sade, have you ever experienced an advancement for Black people that was not politically divisive?
Yeah, not really.
Why do you think that is?
Because we let these people in. We let this political. They come as if they want to help. We allow them. I think Black people are very gullible when it comes to things like this. The moment you allow these figures to enter into the organization, you're done.
All right. Well, what is an example in the past of something that has had a positive effect, that has helped Black people, that has not been politicized? And if there isn't one, then that tells me any advancement of Black people will be politicized.
I don't see none.
If you think the right to vote was a positive advancement for Black people, that was politicized. There was a side to be on.
Yeah.
America did not come together to give Black people voting rights. That
Yeah.
literally, Martin Luther King died and the streets of America were on fire for about a week. And then that bill was passed. Slavery. That was not a America came together. It wasn't political. That was a political act. There is nothing more political than war. War is like literally a part of the political process. When you leave from the talking to the violence, that is a political act. Integration, also political, one side, other side. Whether it's things that are happening right now.
But you know what I'm talking about? My point is,
are we going to all come together for reparations, and if so, with who?
Yeah, I understand the political part, though I have my own distinct views on it, but I still think they should stick with the Black issue right now, instead of adding stuff onto their agenda. They should stick with what they like. This is what we.
If you're somebody who is disturbed at media images and the way that they are profiting off of Black people being killed, I think that an organization that cares about Black lives should point that out. Do you feel like they should ignore that?
Yeah, of course they should point it. I'm just thinking, adding like the Sunrise Movement to a Black Life Movement is, I think, a little bit.
When something happens in Flint and Black kids die of water poisoning, and the government does not help them because they did not have enough money in their financial district, is that an environmental issue? The fact that Black people don't.
No, that's both environmental and Black Lives Matter. Yeah.
When there's a hurricane in New Orleans, first of all, the climate has changed in a way that puts New Orleans in the crosshairs. Political choices that were made by white politicians in a different part of the state, that then has an outcome that hurts Black people that don't have political power and are actually in the wake of that hurricane. Do you believe that that's just a Black lives issue, or is that like an environmental issue?
It's an environmental issue too. Yeah.
When police unions, the unions that get this power, get their salaries from gentrification, which is Black people who live inside the city and work inside the city, and hire police officers who live in the suburbs, that's a direct cash payment from the people who are in the inner city, Black people, to people who don't even need the money and live in places that have high property tax values anyway, white people in the suburbs. Is that an issue just of police violence, or does their money, the war chest that they use to abuse Black people, does that come from gentrification? And if that's where the police's money comes from, then we should talk about like that issue, or else or the alternative.
What you said right now, everything you've said right now, yeah. Now I can see it from a different light. I'm glad I'm here today.
So we can't.
I was really concerned.
We can't just stop the violence because we know they don't really care. Like, even if we can cry, we can get on TV, we can talk all the time. But what's going to move it is their money, which is real estate, which is factories, which is property values. And that's why they spend all this money on police, right? It's not to protect people. It's to protect the property, broken windows and things like that. Well, those people whose windows are unbroken, they donate to cops, because if they see a Black person walk by, hey, what are you doing here? Move along, shine the flashlight on them. So we can't just attack their infrastructure. We have to attack the funding. We have to attack their record and credibility in the media. We have to do education, and we also have to build like community support, community defense. So if you are like at a war with an adversary, it won't always be on one front, because they're a large, powerful adversary. So even though it would be better if we could just make the point. And we do make the point, and we know that because 78% of America, when you ask them, do they agree with Black Lives Matter, they say yes, and the number's gone down and up since then. But like, it's easy to get consensus because most people do think that's wrong. But the problem is, like with almost any political policy, the people's will is not being done because the money isn't there, and like the time isn't there, and the influence isn't there. So while we advocate for these views, like unfortunately, because I would love for things to be just as simple as like tell the truth, get the people on the side, and get the job done, we also gotta fight on all these grounds. Unfortunately, like it is multifaceted. Like we have to talk about the environment, and that's like I wish didn't have to, but like that's where their power comes from. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said. Like I honestly feel like some of the stuff that goes on with the way they decide to cover the protests is to try to distract us from some of the economic things that we might be trying to organize on. So if we're spending, and please don't get me wrong the way I say this, I do want justice for Breonna and for many of those other out there who are not getting justice. But if they're able to get us to solely focus on a handful of things, they're able to distract us from organizing on informing ourselves on how the system actually works. Like I was saying, I think it was last week, many of us are worried about, Joe Biden versus Trump and Kamala Harris, and we're thinking about, Senate positions. But most of us are not thinking about who is the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, who is over, these things we need to know about also, because these are people who are putting those dollars into those channels. And in the military, back in what was it, Vietnam, they made the officers, they made them not salute officers and take off any markings to show that they were officers. The reason why is they were trying to chop off the heads. And I look at the people who are moving the money through the system, the donors, the special interests, the lobbyists. These people have influence with the media and are able to get on there and send their little henchmen on to spin their tails and get us all kind of going in a direction or muddle the waters. Or they say, hey, we're all on the same page on police brutality. So let's just focus on work on police brutality. And let's not focus on working on the other economic issues.
Well, Marcus, I just want to kind of point out, and maybe we're going into the matrix now. I talked earlier that there are just a lot of forces that are profiting off Black death and Black misery and Black suffering. And it's many of them. And it's not necessarily like the people in charge are rubbing their hands together like, I've made Black people suffer. But they're out here for themselves. They're out here to get more money and more power. And it always comes at the expense of people who have at least, and that's like more than likely always going to be us. So they work together in order to reinforce this system. And that's what makes things so complicated. And again, like it might not be like a dark room where everybody rubs their hands together, but those are like natural forces of that self-interest and people doing what's best for them. So we have to do what's best for us. And unfortunately, in order to fix, because that system is in so many gears, the average person shouldn't need to know the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. That's kind of that's ridiculous, because the political process that's supposed to run your life should be run by people who are acting in good faith and have built a system that works to protect you, so that the reason why that you don't have to worry about what the chairman of Ways and Means is, because they listen to what you say and what your opinion is. They have their ear to the streets, so you don't have to worry about that, and they make sure that your money is spent appropriately instead of being spent on nonsense. That's how governments are designed. And unfortunately, it's the opposite. And there's now corruption in every gear. And before people correct me, like obviously the American system was not designed to be democratic. There are obviously meant to be levers of power. But however, like it was designed for responsible people to be in those roles and not just people out to like get every dollar they can and wring it out the system. So
Well, yeah, you know what? Before we get any further, let's go back and read some of those comments. Actually, you know what, Brendan? Could you do it? Let's see. Yeah.
VCAR was sorry for being late. By now, you've either caught up or you missed a lot. The wonderful, talented Alyssa Vera. We have to end the carceral cycle and how that affects perpetuation, that false need of police prison. More Kool-Aid. Have any of you been on a jury or looked at law? I've got lawyers in my family and I've served on more than one jury. Alyssa Vieira. More Kool-Aid. What? Literally study law and its shitty precedents. More Kool-Aid. Yes, that's what we have. Okay. Kool-Aid, you feel free to leave your point. I don't believe in like the just world theory. Just because something was in a law doesn't necessarily mean that it was well designed. Countries redesign laws that don't work all the time. And generally when you have a system that like is doing something positive, laws get redesigned to strip away those positive things. More Kool-Aid, if you've got like a grandmother that collects Social Security, the laws are being changed around what she gets out of that all the time. And it's not for the better. If you have a kid that goes to school, like the amount that they get, whether it's funding, it goes up or it goes down based on who's in power. And so we know if those systems are subject to change by the people, the systems of how we punish people are also subject to be changed. And maybe you're used to things changing for the worse, but there's also a capacity of people to change the law for the better. So when we talk about like the carceral state and people being locked up for reasons that they shouldn't like be locked up for, then that's a lever that can be changed just in the same way that your grandmother can get less Social Security if Donald Trump gets reelected. Like that is a lever that can be changed and your life can become materially better or worse based on like the values choices that you make. Here on Sade, you looking at me funky eyed?
No, just with is that yours or just charts?
Just chart?
Are those words yours or just charts?
No, I'm spitting right now, man.
Oh, you're spitting?
Yeah, I'm just going off the dome. But yeah, so you keep that in mind, and yeah, that's very good.
Like I'm just saying, like if Trump get reelected, is that what you? No.
Oh, if he gets reelected, that he's definitely going after grandma's Social Security money.
Mm-hmm. And Biden won't.
Oh, Biden will too.
Yeah, Biden will too. They're both going to do it.
So which way do we go?
Biden will have much less institutional power and will be much easier to scare off of that idea. Donald Trump, if he gets reelected, will have total institutional power and will definitely have the ability to follow through. So if you care about Social Security, Biden,
I don't know.
On this particular issue of Social Security, is a much weaker opponent. And Biden will go for it, but like Biden can be beat on that real easy. And Trump will not be at all easy to beat on that one.
This is what I'm thinking, though. A lot of people see like they saying Trump is the threat of our lifetime, right? Trump is the threat. Like we have to vote for Biden in order to avoid the orange man, destroying everything. So my point is, if we vote for Biden, we know the system is going to still be the system and get worse. Yep. But with Trump, this is what I'm thinking. At least we get to expose the system. With a Democrat, what happened? Everybody go back to the cave and hide and put things in the closet, and nothing the only blessings I see from Trump is that the system is being exposed and people are out there, and whether you call it a riot or protesting or whatever, people are frustrated and they're coming out. With a Democrat, it makes us feel like, oh, these people are working for us. If you're not politically savvy, you will think these people are really working on our behalf. If you're ignorant, low information voter, these people knows nothing. about what's going on. They just vote because it's a Democrat or a Republican. So what do we do as people? How do we get change? Because I'm really frustrated with all this thing go, because this thing is systemic. And whichever way we go, we are on a crossroad. One actually allows us to come out and voice out our opinions and fight to the end. That's just 4 years. Or we have 8 years of neoliberalism, which will bring us nothing but a more disaster and a worse Trump after they're gone. So what do we do now? Because I'm confused.
I think first of all, the most important takeaway from all this is we got to do the same thing in January. The three of us in this room, no matter who gets elected, like we're gonna have the same fight in front of us, no matter what happens. So we got to be prepped for that. In terms of Trump, and this is gonna sound like a Joe Biden argument, but
Be careful.
I know. Tell me about it. I'll get canceled. But these are facts. Don't count on the next 4 years being like the last 4 years if Trump gets into office. Okay, don't assume that things are being exposed, because if a wound goes exposed long enough, it doesn't just like get more exposed. It starts to like rot your limbs off. Like it starts to break itself apart and kill you. So we've had 4 years of exposure, and I would say 5, because Trump's been wilding since the day he ran. Since the day he announced he wanted to be president, the institutions should have started shutting him down. So he can get bolder. There is more he can do. There are people in the Trump camp that are probably telling him not to do as much as he could do because he's worried about getting reelected. Once he has a free pass for 4 years to act out what is in his heart, that can be damaging. With Biden, unfortunately, we have somebody that's going to definitely be a pro-austerity person who's going to be pro-war, and we know that because we can just look at Joe Biden's extremely long career. But however, I also think that Biden will not have the institutional power, and he will have people's eye on him. I think a lot of people on Twitter have been like, well, if Biden is back in office, it's going to be just like with Obama. Everybody's going to go back to sleep. It's going to all be the same. And the more that I think about it, because I used to say that too, but the more I think about it, the more I don't think it's going to be the same, because Biden is not Obama and the people are not the same. The people's needs are not the same. The people's activism is not the same. I just think that the world, especially like the United States, the activist world is more. I
think we're going to disagree on that. I'm telling you, we're going to disagree on that. Because when it comes to the Democrat, we always go to sleep. We do. All the lefties going to come out and start doing, we got to wait for this. We all going to go to sleep. We may not agree right now, but I promise you, like you said, he is the lowest shit. And with Trump, you got a full scale of shitness. So we may go out there hoping Biden wins, and you're gonna see what I tell you. Just for a reference, all gonna go to sleep. People will go to sleep. I may not go to sleep, but a lot of people will go to sleep thinking, it's a Democrat.
I think it's more people than ever who will not go to sleep. I don't know whether that number will be enough, but like I'm going on.
I would tell you, because
I don't think
as long as we have MSM and CNN on board with these people going to go. A lot of people get their information from cable news.
Yeah.
So we have a long way to go. People don't come here. People don't go to YouTube for leftist media.
No.
They get their news and their information from MSM and other CNN, Fox News, and others. So people, the news is also skewed towards these people. So there is no way people will go. They will make you go to sleep even if you don't want to go to sleep. It will feel like everything is going on all right. Okay, who was in power when they got Occupy Wall Street? When they start cracking down on them, we are about to wake up. We were about to protest. And what happened? They cracked down on us. Trump is more of a violent person. He's a beta. He will do it right in front of you. These people do it under the ground, under the grass. Okay, same way, same policies, different stakes. I just don't see it. We all look. I'm sure people will go to sleep when it comes. People will sleep. They will make them sleep. I'm not gonna sleep, but I know a lot of the public will go to sleep.
I'm gonna tell you why they're gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna tell you exactly why they're gonna go to sleep. Because they're going to say we have our first woman of color vice president. And just like everybody was so enamored with Obama being the first black president, that same wonder is going to be there. And we all know Biden is not going to be in office too long. No. So what that's going to mean is first black woman president.
Listen.
If you don't think that most of the black community is going to give her a pass on most of the stuff, I mean, for one, I think they're going to give her a pass on stuff, even when she does make mistakes.
Clarify the woke black community, the woke ones. They're the ones who keep putting us in this position. It's not enough of us
yet. Well, I'm not going to say it's not enough of us yet. I think we don't have enough influence because all I got to do is simply get on to switch over to Facebook, and there's people over there literally in shock that there's black people that are not going to vote for Biden. And I'm like, to me, choosing one evil or the other evil, you're still choosing evil. Either way, you're getting evil because that's the way this has been rigged. And that's what I'm saying, that when you look at, and the reason why I don't fear Trump too much is because I know who some of his henchmen are. And so he has certain checks which he can only go to. The problem, honestly, is more people like Mitch McConnell and all of them who are more than likely still going to, well, definitely probably going to be there. And they're going to still be pushing that agenda no matter what. Then whatever Biden and Kamala wanted to do, you still got Mitch McConnell and those boys who are going to be punching them in the mouth on every single thing.
And they don't push back. They don't punch back. That's my problem. They don't punch back. Mm-hmm. Look at, we talking about Trump. But how does he get his things passed? You know? How does he get all he got this bloated military budget, and who signed up on it? We all know. Oh, Mama Bear went, Mama Bear signed up on it, and she gonna come out and act like she's all for us. She ain't for me. I know, right? She ain't for me. Mama Bear came out.
See, my thing is, I want to hope, but I go back to listening to comments from like Charlemagne the God and Envy and Sonny Hostin and all these people, and their comments about, well, you know, when they're addressing like real critiques of Obama's, you know, administration, and now they're admitting to stuff. And so what they're like, well, but we were so excited about having the first black president. And I'm like, I was one of his volunteers. I spent numerous hours out there knocking on doors, trying to convince people, canvassing and all that. But him being black was supposed to be the cherry on top. It was not supposed to be the cake. And I felt like we got the cherry and we didn't get any cake. And that's not what I was pushing for. And for we're out there like, okay, we're giving them a little grace period. And then I started to join the Occupy protest. And I'm like, you believe this? We pushed so hard to get this dude in here, and he's the one who's stopping us.
Yeah,
he's the one who's the barrier. And I'm just saying they're gonna do it again. You got Kamala Harris, who's law and order in her veins.
Can I point something out, Marcus? Because you've been rolling on this for quite a little while. You understand that Barack Obama is the first or second most charismatic politician of the last 100 years.
Yeah.
You only gonna have.
You can't take that from him.
You only got to deal with Barack Obama one time. Kamala Harris is not Barack Obama.
Yeah, but one thing she does have
on her greatest day,
But I'll tell you what she has, though. You have to fact. This is one thing which is Obama didn't have his charisma carried what he didn't have in this area. He didn't have any actual connection to the actual black community. Not he had the church. He had Jeremiah Wright Church, which he got into once he got into politics. But he didn't have that. Kamala is tied in with those AKAs, and a lot of those AKAs are gonna back her no matter what.
Those AKAs didn't help her get through Biden in the primary. Them AKAs didn't get her.
But they got her to be in VP.
These AKAs didn't help her get past Bernie Sanders when she ran. They didn't help her
to be in VP,
state of California. My point here is, like, she will have some institutional support from the Democratic Party, and there will also be some people who will be like, hey, why try to fight momentum? But like, we are way too pessimistic. We all assume that black people will sign over their Social Security because Kamala Harris said boo. And I do not believe that that's necessarily the case. And you know what? If somebody, like, let's say the economy falls out next year and Joe Biden has to step down due to a medical emergency, just whatever unlikely, series of events. There's a phenomenon, I think I've mentioned this before on your show, called a glass cliff. And that is, like, sometimes a woman ends up getting the reins handed to her right before things go haywire. That's like an example of, like, problems in our culture. But if Kamala, through some series of events, is left holding the bag in 2024 and she's not popular, she will also not be popular with black people. I do not believe that black people will be like the last ones in the ditch with Kamala Harris if she is having a hard time running the country, especially if somebody is offering them policies that they rot with, or is just a more charismatic person than Kamala Harris. Now, that doesn't mean that she won't have any pull on the black community. I'm just saying that people who just assume that she's just inherited all that loyalty, or that just there's nobody in America that can have more sway with black folks than Kamala if she runs for some other office, or that Kamala is now the leader of Black America, or any of this, I don't think it's true. I think there's just a lot of people in the country, if the movement puts them on and champions them, some of them can be black women, will have more charisma than, or pull with the black community specifically. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to use any names, but there are a lot of black politicians, women, that are qualified to serve and have maybe, like, and this isn't like to be mean to anybody or to denigrate their blackness, but just in the black Southern community, that particular culture maybe have more of a connection to it than the vice president would at that time. I'm just saying she's not bulletproof. She's still a human being.
No, you see how we both silence, like, okay.
I don't know, maybe she's bulletproof, and I don't know, but we'll see.
Because it's gonna be hard to attack. For one, any woman who's in politics who rises to the top, it's already kind of hard to attack a woman and not be looked at as a sexist. Yeah. Two, she's gonna be a woman of color, so you're gonna be looked at as a sexist and a racist. So it's gonna be hard to come across with some of your critiques anyway. Just like some critiques to Obama, which were legitimate, were taken automatically as racism because some of the people who were saying it just happened to be racist.
Bro,
it didn't negate that the statement was true because it came from a racist. But that's gonna be a defense that she's gonna be able to use.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I am such an optimist today, and that's not what I expected. We came out here talking about penetration. Let me tell you, like,
because if you've been through so much shit in your life,
I know the history. I know the history. I think that we're in a unique time. It might be for the worse. It might also be for the better. It's a unique time. So, like, the movement is more connected than it's been, like, since the 60s. Just technological changes, just from youth and energy. We all kind of can be on the same page. And that's how somebody like Charles Booker, who was an absolute nobody, and he had been working on the ground in Kentucky, but he catches fire. Suddenly, everybody in the world is talking about this man, Charles Booker, because that was what the movement needed is in Kentucky.
And then what happened with Charles Booker? I knew he was never going to win that race over there. I knew it. I was telling people, these people have spent a lot of money on this man on the other side. You think they're going to let go? They're going to fight tooth and nail. And then what happened?
Okay.
Jamal what happened with
New
Charles?
York was nobody. I'll come back to that one. Jamal Bowman ran in New York, was a principal, absolute nobody. The movement needed somebody to fight this guy Engel, who was like, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't a photo op. And suddenly there's so much energy and enthusiasm because he was needed in that area. Corey Bush, same deal. Like it's just over and over again. Or Ed Markey, who is a backbench, nobody.
You know why Corey won? You know why Corey won? Because they did not believe she would win. When they see you coming, they did not see her coming.
Ed Markey.
He was not saw coming.
Ed Markey. Also, Corey ran last time. Like they knew she was gonna run. They didn't know that she would like get
they knew she was gonna run. Last time, where was she? She was nowhere. And
right,
they knew
a lot of us are nowhere right now. We have 2 years to get that.
No, they knew she was gonna run, but they did not see her coming from behind. They didn't see her.
The energy came to her towards the last minute, as the publicity shined on her because the need was there. That enthusiasm and money and energy and calls helped her win. So what I'm saying is, in 2024, if it turns out that it needs to be a black woman, you know what America is full of, black women. If it'll be it can be a state senator or a mayor. Pete Buttigieg just ran for mayor, y'all. Ran for president and came in third place and is a hot sensation. It's not a black woman that's a mayor somewhere down here in the South.
But we really need to start focusing on color. All I want is a goddamn good person.
I'm just saying that Marcus over here was like, oh, we can't attack him because we need to. So if it's
when it comes to it does happen. He's not lying. That's true.
Okay.
But the difference is
if it turns out that we need a black woman, what I'm saying is there are black women who can do it, and that person who you might not know or think about or care about right now, we can blow them up. We have a unique skill right now. We can pick somebody and blow them up at the spot of a hat, and maybe it won't be that full institutional power, but they can have a chance. They can have an opportunity, especially if Kamala is not Superman like y'all think, and flubs her words or says awkward things or behaves the way she behaved through that whole campaign where she couldn't get out of her own way. Maybe she's screwing things up. It's possible.
I don't know.
But you know what? Look, we need to put this in consideration too. White men. I don't know. There is something about this white men and suburbanite or whatever they call. These people are so scared of change that they will come out and vote for Donald Trump. It won't be because of us. If Donald Trump wins this election, it's not going to be because of me. It's going to be because of white male who are scared of a Kamala on a ticket. Not me.
Yeah.
Trust me. It will be the Karens in the suburbs. Even though they'll come out and say, oh, I don't want Trump to win. I don't want Trump to win. I'm not voting for Trump. These people will go back in the booth. Nobody is there with them and vote for Trump. Because they rather keep their law and order rather than justice. They want law and order. They want order in their cities. They don't want anyone protesting. So what they do, they go and vote for Trump rather than seek for justice. Yeah. And people, all these polls and all that, these people will say anything to the pollster. But who knows? Look at what happened in 2016?
Yeah.
We were all shocked and shook. It was the suburb, the Karens who came out and put Trump on top. Yeah. They did. It was there. The data's there. The Karens put Trump on top. And white male. And now you have Kamala on a ticket. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? People are not so scared of Trump like people want to make it look like. You know, these white people are racist. and they will do anything to have their law and order, rather to have justice. They wouldn't do anything to keep their status quo.
Yep.
Okay.
I can't possibly predict what people will do. If I could predict it on that level, I would not be sitting here with y'all. I would be in an air conditioned booth right now, talking it. But I mean, I think there will be people who will also.
And I think if the Democrat want to win, really, they need to reach out to young black males, because they're the one who are not feeling this thing. They really need to reach out to young black males. You know, I'm not saying they shouldn't come. I want them to come out and vote. Yeah, I don't like Joe Biden, but you know, like you said, one is better than the other. We get to fight. Hopefully, we don't go to sleep like we used to always go to. But if they want to win, they really need to get in touch with these young black males, because they're not feeling this thing right now. It will be because of young black male too. Young black male, the Karens in the suburb, and the white male. They're the one who will put Trump on top. And young black male for not voting at all, not coming out to vote. And then the Karens for coming out in their numbers to save their cities. And white males for keeping their racism. They will come out and put Trump on top because of racism. Nothing else. Yeah. They love it.
I mean, my simple way of looking at it is they made their choice who they wanted. And you can say politicians, you can say suburban Democratic voters, you can say older black voters. They made their choice. And so if their choice loses, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I was trying my best to get somebody in there that was going to actually do things and fight for us and protect us. And that's who you chose. And so you obviously felt that he was the most electable and all this nonsense. And what I was talking about and what we are talking about, the policies are unattainable, that they're delusional, that we just need to wait our turn. And so you guys chose Biden. You guys chose Kamala. Don't sit there and turn around and get mad at young black males or any young people in general, especially who told you the whole time, we do not want Joe Biden. We have told you that over and over. So if Joe Biden loses, just like it said in Salon, if he dies, he dies. If he loses, he loses. And what happens from that, whatever Trump does, that's going to be the spank on the butt that some of you all need out there to start listening to other people, especially for grieved community.
But would they wake up? That's the thing. Yeah. They would not listen. Do they ever listen? They don't.
They're good in their lives, so they're not worried about most other people. And that's why you're going to end up with Trump. Because most of you are so selfish, you're only looking at what you care about. Now, Brandon, like Alyssa, a lot of the people on the left, which are my good friends and I love, they have a great sense of optimism, and because they're around people who are positive and who are trying to push for positive change.
Boy, you are not on the same parts.
But I'm also dealing with with a lot of these people who are stubborn, who don't want to listen, who basically look at most of all of us as we're living in Disneyland with our heads in the clouds, who want rainbows and unicorns and everything free. And as long as these people still have this mentality, and there's more of them voting than us, we're going to always be at their mercy. So I'm like, hey, my hands are off the wheel. Do what you want to do. It's on you.
Now, you live in Georgia, right? Do you think Joe Biden will carry Georgia?
I say it's 50-50 right now.
Exactly. I live in Texas, and I'll tell you this. I don't see anything. But we need to work. Like I'll keep saying this. I know my voice. The Democrats need to work on young people and young black males. They really need. We still have 60 days. If they want to win, I'm not the one who's supposed to advise them, but this is how. It's true. Yeah. Look at Ed Markey. They brought it home for Ed Markey. In Massachusetts, they put him on the top. I mean, young people, it's not like they don't vote. You got to give them something to come out for. They are the base of the Democratic Party. Either they want to acknowledge it or not. You know, they talk about Republicans turned Democrats. I didn't see them in 2016. They never came out. Why would you let go of 30% of people who could potentially bring you to the top to 5% of Republic? Why would you switch that? You know, give them what they want. You know, just take one. Medicare for all. Student loan, choose one. Or marijuana, legalize marijuana for goddamn sake. It won't cost you nothing. Young people will come out and vote and put, what make them put Ed Markey on top? Green New Deal. And we all know he may not do nothing about it, but they heard the word Green New Deal. And what they do? At least don't put them under the bus. Don't act like they don't exist. Don't talk to them anyhow. Don't act. Look at what happened at the DNC. Ocasio just got how many seconds?
They didn't. It turns out they actually didn't give her anything. Bernie gave her his time for his nomination, and that's how she got 60 seconds because they didn't want her there at all. So there you go.
Now you tell me how they get to blame these young people when anything. I don't look. I'm not praying for. I don't even know where my prayer. I don't pray for a Donald Trump. Nobody wants Donald. Nobody wants the orange man in office. But we got to be realistic at this point. Nobody wants Donald. That guy is so out of. I don't even want to describe because he's so. I don't have the words for him, and I may say something that I'll regret. So I'll keep those words to myself because I'm gonna go back to the ghetto if I have to say something about Trump.
Listen,
I'm gonna use my words, but
you never have to regret anything bad you say about Donald Trump.
You know,
like literally any word you use, you can come back and be like, yeah, that was right. I said it.
Yeah. So you know, you don't know what we're gonna become later in life, and these people are gonna come out. Oh, she said that. We still gotta watch our mouths. You know, as we sit here,
I hear you.
Still gotta watch our mouths on certain things, but not with Donald. I agree, but the Democrats are playing. I don't know why they do that to their base. You know, these young people just want attention. We all know how it feels. People like me may swallow their pride. You know, some people like me may swallow their pride and just vote for Biden and say, you know what? Let me just. But young people, first of all, these people don't even want to go out and vote in the first place. And now you're not giving them anything to come out. And then they keep talking about how young people don't vote. That's all you hear. They don't vote anyway. And then they go out and vote, shame them at the same time. Now, what do you want from them? Choose one.
Well, and then let me sprinkle a little something else in there. The Democratic Party as a whole, because I was trying to follow some of the chat, and we'll try to read some of them out if we have the time. But you know, Barack Obama, even after office, is still tinkering around. He basically put Biden up there as a nominee. Warren was too dumb to get out and could have cleared the path for Bernie. Some people want to, you know, get upset all these other things. I look at Elizabeth Warren. If she was out, it would have been a whole different race. But that's, you know, for another conversation. But Obama still sticking his nose in. As far as trying to push for more protests, you had the NBA players during the finals, you know, doing a boycott.
And he stuck his nose there too.
Come up there and shut that down. And it's like, dude, at what point do I have to feel like you were flat out the enemy? That like almost like white people are just twisting a little cord in your back or something and sending you out to screw over black people. I'm wondering at this point, because the only thing he comes out and he says, well, let's all come out and vote and make sure you're voting. Yeah, that's all you want to talk about. But you don't want to talk about fixing anything. Yeah, you want to talk about some gerrymandering. But under your presidency, our wealth dropped. And I'm not putting that on him directly, which there are ways that I could. But what I'm saying is, you could be talking about that now and trying to work on that now or trying to push people on that now. And what you're busy doing is trying to stop any kind of progress for Black people. That's how I see it. Am I wrong? I don't know, Sade, Brandon, whoever want to chime in. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not. You are right on point. That's, I mean, we don't know what's going on in his heart, but what we can judge by is what we see. And what we see is exactly what we see. Ain't no lying about, I didn't see it. I didn't detect any lie. That's how I view it too. Every time we try to make progress, this motherfucker come out and do something. Every time there is a progress, what is it? Is it insecurity? Is it that somebody could, expose everything behind him? I don't know. What is it? Why does he do this stuff?
Yeah, I can't. You made some statements about what he is and what his motives are. I don't have X-ray vision into his soul. Like, I don't know whether, like, I would like to believe that people don't do things out of malice, but they just do it out of their political ideology. But we can put all that to the side, and we can say, look at the record of a man who for 4 years, as Donald Trump did like countless embarrassments and humiliations and atrocities, was silent. And when this stuff was happening on the streets, was silent and wasn't on the streets with us and wasn't using his platform to elevate like these specific causes that were, when we talk about Black liberation, we said at the beginning of the episode, it's politically divisive. And you can't be like, at a certain level, you can't really stand for Black people in a significant way without making people upset. You can't be talking about school lunches and reading and all that kind of stuff during these kind of times, I think. But anyway, had 4 years and didn't take on those fights. And now, 4 years later, having kept his powder dry or saved his capital or whatever it is, all right, it's been 4 years. People want to hear you speak. What do you have to speak on? Well, he's speaking on stopping Bernie Sanders. He's speaking on like the labor shortage in the NBA, interfering with their strike, their action against their employers to ensure justice and watering that down. We see him, speaking on Joe Biden, providing political cover, by the way, because as much as the left talks about like putting pressure on Joe Biden and let's all vote for him and put pressure on him afterwards. You know who could have put pressure on Biden with an interview or with a phone call? Barack Obama could have got on TV and been like, and wouldn't have been divisive. Wouldn't have had to put himself in the way of a bullet. Wouldn't have had to get his ass kicked by a cop. Wouldn't have had to put his livelihood on the line to do this. Could have said, Joe Biden, he's my friend. He's running for president. And, he gave me a little push. He got ahead of me on gay marriage. And now that I'm here out of power and I've been thinking about this for years, I'd like to give Joe a push on reparations. I'd like to give Joe a push on Medicare for all. I'd like to give Joe a push on marijuana.
Student loan forgiveness.
I held power and I was wrong. And I thought I was doing what was right because I wanted to win. I had 4 years off and man, I had to think about it. And once in a while, you got to stand up for justice. So I'm hoping that Joe will join me in supporting this policy as we fight Trump together. He could have done that with the ease of picking up a phone call. Wouldn't have cost him nothing. Wouldn't have hurt him at all. And would have given that.
And keep thousands out the streets.
And could have kept thousands of people off the streets. But didn't do it. So that, and again, I have to stress, wouldn't have been a risk at all to
now
him.
You see why most of us are not.
So why are we fucking with Obama right now? I don't know. You tell me. He's chilling. He's
the master behind the curtains.
Yeah.
He is the head of everything behind the curtains. What do you think is going on? This man has power.
And nobody even asked him nobody even put him to the standard of fix something with your bare hands. People are just asking you to ask. People are just asking you to use your voice. People are, like, you could have done some of this with a retweet, dog. Like you could, like, it's incredible that you have done all of these compromises for power, and in this particular moment,
you could have done it with a beer summit, okay?
Yeah,
a beer summit.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We have literally people like T.I., and Ice Cube doing more speaking up. People like Akon speaking up than Obama is. I
I
mean,
think uh,
that's to be
I think
embarrassing.
Ice Cube is tired of everybody now. He's just spitting with no filter.
Yeah, and it stinks. Obama could have done so much. Even his endorsements were all like non-meeting them, with like maybe two exceptions of people who were kind of good, and one of them was already in office, so it really super didn't cause it. Really, he just has not gotten ahead of these issues, has not met the moment on any of this stuff, and it's just been just a complete flunk. Like,
Because
dude, you could have got out and built. You could have literally got out there with Jimmy Carter and with a saw in your hand and built some houses and talked about housing. Like nothing would have. You're doing Netflix and all other stuff. You could have just
You
taken
know,
a
God
couple
gave
days
him
off.
that power. He's, you
Yeah.
know, some people are just blessed. And one of those people are Obama. Obama is, I always tell people, I could be critical and at the same time, I'll give him his props where it's due. The guy is naturally blessed. When he
Yeah.
speaks, people listen.
Yeah.
You know,
Somebody in the comments said he did less than Kim Kardashian in the last 4 years. And the fact that I cannot be honest.
these
Like,
people, I'm telling you,
funny,
these people
but it's
are
not
blessed.
true. I can't say that. Ha ha ha. That's funny, but it's not true. I really can't even say that. And you said it perfectly, Shada. He had all the gifts, like, and
He does. He does. You can't take you know, there are some things you can't take from Obama. He's gifted. He was, some things are just natural. He's real, he's the real deal when it comes to black men. You know, black men can speak. When Obama speaks, it's like Jesus has arrived for black people.
You know what?
Everywhere goes silence. It's true. He's the black Jesus of our time. You know, and people, it's facts. People look up to him. So there's a lot of things he could have used those gifts to do.
And but you know what, Sade, God has gifted. God has blessed a lot of black folks. So
that's what I say. Like, it's a gift, like for like black, you know, black people. I think we're born with this speaking thing. You know, when we speak, when a black man is angry or mad and they speak, they don't need a speech training. Okay, these people, we come out and we say our mind. Look at Nina Turner. Look at Connor West. It's just a gift. But Obama have the Ivy League thing with it. You understand and when he speaks white, black, everyone listens. He's not classified in the urban way. You know, they don't see him as an urban. You know, the word urban, you know, they see him as one of them, no matter what you try to say. And he was able to do a lot of things through that. Why do you think white people love Obama so much? White liberals?
Well,
what if can I throw like a little conspiracy nugget? Because, you know, I was just doing my other show the other day, so it's like one little thing I found kind of interesting. You know, Obama's related to a lot of presidents.
Yeah, everybody's related.
Like, he was related to like Dick Cheney and George Washington and like a lot of them. It's kind of weird. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, I think they're
half the presidents
That's
are related
because of his Caucasian background, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're at a level where everybody's somebody's ninth cousin, and we're all more closely related than.
Oh no, they're closer than ninths. A lot of them.
Yeah, I know. It is weird. It is very weird to me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like, that's the way money and influence works. Everybody's related to somebody that's doing something.
Oh yeah, we're living in a giant game of nepotism.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, this whole problem is a big C problem. Until we can get rid of this big C, we have look, when we are able, black people also need to come together because we divided on this issue. How many black progressives do we have? Maybe 25%? We don't have enough. So unless a lot of us wake up and see that progressive issues are not just white issues, because I've come across a lot of black people who think progressives are more towards the white people. No, I've come a lot of black people who think like Bernie Sanders supporters are more of white people and he cares more about white people than black people. Most of these issues are actually things that will benefit black communities. legalizing marijuana, student loan forgiveness, Medicare for all, especially, that would benefit a lot of and take a lot of headache from Black people. $15 minimum wage, which I think it should go more than that right now.
Yeah, we've been arguing for $15 for like the last
For
15
how many?
years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in
you understand.
California. It definitely need to be higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are not just these are everybody's issue. If you're poor, it's your issue. Okay. Like I tell people, I thank God for the life I have, but it doesn't mean that I cannot fight for others. People always say, I'm okay if they're gonna take a little bit out of mine so that somebody can have a better life. You know, it doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling, but I'm still grateful. I'm struggling, but I'm grateful on many levels. When you go out there to the cities, you see homeless people, you see crackheads, you see a lot of things that have brought people on the street. Not everybody homeless is crackhead. Not every homeless is it's a useless person who don't want to work or something. People have been through different issues, and you have to go out there and talk to people, and then unless you don't have humanity in you, you don't have any ounce of humanity. I'm radicalized. I'm sorry to say that, but I am very radicalized at this point because I don't see the reason why any American should live in poverty. It shouldn't happen. This is the greatest, I said, one of the richest nation in the whole world. America is rich, and this is bullshit. It's just bullshit.
I don't have nothing to add. I think you killed it. I think you
I was
nailed
gonna
it.
say, I noticed my mom says hello. Hey, mom. Hopefully everything is good, and thank you for the blessing.
Your last name is actually Marcus Cage. Is your actual real name?
Yeah.
Yo, I always thought that was like you trying to be cute. That's incredible. All right.
Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? We've been kind of going good on the discussion, and I kind of want to kind of get caught up on some of those chats. So I guess so we can kind of cue in what everybody's been discussing in the chat. What we got, Brandon?
Politics is a hard game. I also see two cheeks of the same ass. Those big cheeks. Hi, Marcus's mom. These
people are savage.
Please just enjoy the entertainment. Alyssa Vera loves Nina so much. Doesn't see her doing us dirty, but I've been wrong. That's a whole nother thing. I'm gonna even skip over that. This scope is saying a lot, but not giving solutions, but blame. It's okay. Let's start with blame. It's okay to start with blame. When we talk about like organizing, and by the way, if you've ever bought anything, you've gone through a process that took you from learning about a problem to blaming the solutions that you had currently,
and then giving out your own,
learning about a new solution to like grappling with whether that fits into your life. Then you want to take action on that new solution. So we always have to be somewhere along that process when we're trying to convince somebody to buy a product. Like if somebody needs to buy a new TV, you need to convince them, the old TV ain't good no more. You need a plasma TV, and this is the good TV, and this is why. All right, now will you make your decision? So we have that same choice in our political system, or any kind of political choice we make. A lot of and we're talking about convincing Black people. A lot of them don't know what the other solution is. Maybe they are angry at what they have now, right? They don't like the system we have now, but they don't understand what a new solution could be. So we've got to lead them through every step of that process. And all these are other just fists and agreements and things like that. But it's okay to just lay blame. And if you want to talk about solutions, Sade literally came on here right after your comment and explained a whole boatload of solutions. So I hope that together we painted a positive picture for you, because that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the first thing is we have to address something. For instance, I look at it like a medical condition. if you're having some kind of pain or fever or something, you got to figure out what's going on with you first. And if you don't address the problem properly, you can't truly address it. You might slow it down, you might kind of handle it, and it can come back in remission and all those things like that. But my goal is to try to push more the waking up and knowledge and understanding how these things actually work, how these strings are tied, which donors are, puppeteering which politicians and things like that. And when you start seeing that, you realize which people are talking and platitudes or who are not going to deliver. When you start knowing who their staff is and knowing who these people, what their history is, their backgrounds, you start knowing, okay, well, they just hired a new pharma executive. Okay, they just hired somebody who spent 30 years from Northrop Grumman. When you start seeing some of those things, those are huge signs that I feel many of us, especially in the Black community, don't look at politics in that detailed enough way to understand it. And we're just going with oh, well, this is who sounds good. And we got to do better.
How do we like, and you know what? I'm currently chair DSA. My term is almost over. I will be a regular dude that's organizing there hopefully soon. But we talk about the internal structures of like government and our internal government like all the time. And it's hard because like I know I made this point before, but like everybody, how do we educate people, and why should we have a duty to be so educated? Like it's harder because like we shouldn't have to know all these things in order to take control of the system. Yeah, but now I don't know how many. Well, okay, let me put it like this, Marcus. How many of it do all of us need to know, or can there be like people that we trust in terms of like our leadership? Like, is there?
But see, for me,
create a Black leadership that is trustworthy, just in your view?
I don't believe it's possible.
Is it?
The reason why I don't believe it's possible because there's too much money out there, and almost everybody, most of these people have a price. Most of these people have, if they don't have a price, they have something where, okay, they have a family member who they might need this special surgery.
Yeah.
And they got somebody over here who can provide that surgery. Yeah. So you play ball, we can do things. Or they have people where they say, you know what? Hey, I know the outside world frowns on what you like to do. So we'll solicit that.
All right.
And keep it secret. And those things happen. I mean, I just did in one of our last videos about Woodrow Wilson, how he got blackmailed by some of his campaign donors because of a secret relationship that he had going on and debts and all kind of stuff. And they paid the debt, kept it quiet, but he had to basically sign on to the Federal Reserve. So, I mean, they use different things, I don't want to say too much. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. People, they have a lot of leverage over the system. Mm-hmm. So, well, what is the way to get these reforms that we need then? What do we need to build in ourselves as a structure of people outside the government?
The biggest structure, and I will say, and I know this is a Bible passage, and I know some people are not religious or different religions, but you can still take this to heart. Put thine faith in no man.
Okay.
Can't trust nobody. We have to learn this information on our own. So we're always verifying ourselves. I guess I'll speak it for a brief moment in a kind of a biblical lens. The way you want to do things is you want to try to prove it, find more information, secondary sources, back up your information, and then cite it. So when you're questioned on other people, you're able to say, no, here's my data right here. And so that way we're able to try to build a much more concrete organization, because now we at least have the principles of what's going on, and then we can make our decisions and strategies from there. But that's how we get the information base correct, because if we're always going in and we're counting on these other people over here to be more of a thought leaders for us, the moment those thought leaders get manipulated, we're getting manipulated. And so we need to always be able to be on our P's and Q's so that we're pushing back on any influence. Like I know that this is going to be controversial to say, but I'll go back to the civil rights movement. A lot of people don't realize that that march on Washington was not supposed to go to the mall. It was actually supposed to go to the White House. It got modified by influences which were overwhelmed and say, hey, well, let's do it this way. It went from a peaceful kind of march to, I mean, it went from a more passionate, more angry march to this peaceful holding hands, more of a celebration. And that's because certain politicians who had their hands in the pots were influenced. And that's the reason why we need to be abreast of these things, all of us, so that we're not easily led astray.
Yeah, somebody in the comments just says, Teresa says, research means identifying critical content. And Alyssa says, people don't tend to learn from data. And yeah, that's a good, like, unfortunately, and this is, now we're getting really deep into what motivates people to make their own decisions and things like that. But like, having information doesn't necessarily mean that you will choose a good conclusion. It does, having the right primary sources and secondary sources and all other stuff, it doesn't mean as much if your values lead you to support something. Because you talk about, you know, a person in power can be compromised by, you know, money or financial gain. We compromise ourselves just for emotional reasons all the time. So like, if it feels good to blame one group of people for our problems, then we'll act on that and we'll do that. Like we were talking about, we are talking about the Black community right now, but like we can go to the white community and say, well, what's going to make them come out in record numbers to vote against Kamala Harris? Well, the primary sources says she's a cop and isn't really offering sweeping reforms. The secondary sources also agree. All of the information says that, but some people can just choose to be, it's easy to choose to be misinformed. And that we see that as a pandemic, like in America right now with the pandemic. And unfortunately, like our people can also choose to be misinformed, just based on who we want to listen to and who we trust, and even just the sources of news that you read. You can read multiple sources and come to bad conclusions and just decide, oh, this is the true one. So we also have to have real strong values. We also have to, we can't neglect having like a real firm idea of how we think people should be treated.
Well, that's why I want people to even question where your source is. I mean, there's literally only like somebody said 4. I haven't confirmed that yet, but the media that we consume is only by 6 different companies and entities. That's a small number of people deciding which is a valuable news story, what's not a valuable news story, yes. Who's accredited source, who's not accredited source, and that's a lot of faith being put in, and a lot of people just choose whether it's Fox, MSNBC, whatever, click that on and just let it inform them, and then their beliefs are formed from that.
Marcus, I want to just quickly chime in because you have a comment saying it begins with you, the individual, because like conservatives genuinely think that if you're on the left, because they are so propagandized, they genuinely believe that every leftist is poor. They believe that every leftist has no idea of personal responsibility. They've watched so much Rush Limbaugh that they like genuinely think that that's how people think. And you have to, you obviously have to engage with these issues for yourself. But the problem is, and this is the entire show. Is that it's very easy for somebody to make money and propagandize you into choosing one thing or another. So this is why it feels like we're kind of talking ourselves in knots, but we're just really making the point that it's all connected. Like the material is connected to our spiritual, which is connected to our intellectual, which comes back around to our like it's all kind of tied together. So we just have to, and it's also luckily it's tied to our experience. And as more people experience this system going down and they experience like all this mayhem, hopefully that snaps some things in half for people. And these people that were asleep, they wake up and stay awake this time, like we were talking about. So that's my hope.
Oh, I see. I see. My mom has a question for you and Sade. I'll let you both answer.
Sade, go ahead because the two men have been just talking way too much. You gotta get.
What was the question?
How do you feel about the Harris Biden ticket?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't feel right about it. First of all, I think in a sane nation, Harris is not that bad. She's not all right with me though. But to be frank with you, I don't like it. I don't like
Um,
it. How could you, someone who did not make it, she didn't really make it in the primaries, and then coupled with someone who was actually installed, you know, by the DNC, it's like a slap in the face to a lot of people. And I don't know what she mean. Does she mean how the administration gonna be? The
just
administration of Harris? I don't know. I can't say anything because let the record speak for itself. They have a record. Let's go to the record and let their record speak. That's what I say. Let their records speak for themselves.
yeah. Biden. We could have been worse. Like it could have been Bloomberg. Just from an
It was never
ideological.
gonna be Bloomberg.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
Pete. You
You
should
know,
go to Platitude Pete first.
it could have been. It could have been Pete. I don't think Pete would have won because I just think black people would have just found him too whack. But like I feel like if Pete had been the nominee, he'd be losing to Trump already right now. He'd be just getting ripped to bits. Him and Warren.
He
So
will be just
yeah,
smacking.
it obviously would be better to have somebody that was willing to put themselves like out on a limb for people. And I don't think Biden is going to do that. I think Biden is going to be like a DC insider consensus kind of person.
Exactly.
And I don't think he's going to like try to really, really change things for regular people. As far as Kamala Harris goes, she's not. She's less.
She's the token for black people. That's it.
I mean, if you look at this list, and Biden is a very lowercase c conservative person, you know that he's not going to choose somebody that's going to challenge him in that certain way. And he says that's why he chose her and all that stuff. But like there's no reason to believe that that's actually true. It could be worse, but it's also not at all really like good. So it just Biden and Harris just is what it is. And like I hope that on the worst things that they may be thinking of doing in order to compromise as things go downhill in the next year, I hope that the people can kind of stand up to them and prevent them from doing things and keep them on the right path. Not even necessarily a good path, but like a path that doesn't like injure and destroy people. So that's I don't know how it'll go, but I can only hope. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Will I vote? It's likely that I will vote because I've got local elections and things like that. I'm extremely undecided who I'm going to vote for. I obviously will not be voting for Trump, but like where else my vote goes, I have no idea right now.
Same for me.
Yeah.
I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do local. That's for sure.
Yeah. Alyssa's voting for Mark Charles. Okay. I don't even know if Mark Charles will be on the ballot in my state, so I'd have to check in on that.
What are you doing? I'm sorry, I can't hear anything right now. For some reason, somebody is calling me.
Well, it's okay. I will just continue. Sade, who are your relatives voting for? Is most of your relatives voting for Biden?
Oh yeah, of course. My husband is a Biden person. He's an
I'm
Obama
sorry, I
person.
still
He
can't
loves
hear
Obama.
anything right
So
now.
Go ahead.
yeah, he's voting for Biden.
Yeah. My relatives are also undecided. Well, I have one very good friend that's voting for Biden 100%. But most of my people are like, it's either Joe Biden or I'm just going to go to Taco Bell or stay home. Like obviously, like everybody in West Atlanta is not like cued into Howie Hawkins. Don't nobody know who
And
that
you
is.
know, that, don't you think that's really dangerous when people really don't know what they're gonna do?
Yeah,
That's
we
the
are in
worst thing.
yeah, we're in times where people really don't know what they're gonna do. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
because I
wild.
know a lot of people who just don't know what they're gonna do. Like they like Shadi, I don't know. It depends on how I feel that day.
Yeah, and that can be not even just for the voting, but that can be unpredictable in terms of.
And I
I
know
mean,
a lot of people who are just like, okay, I'm tired of Trump. I'm just
yeah,
going to vote for Biden. My husband is voting for Biden for sure. I have a cousin who's voting for Biden. I have friends who are voting, and I have some like 50-50 who are saying, you know, fuck all this. I'm not. It depends on how I feel that day. I'm not going out there. I'm not sticking my nose out there. I don't care what Trump is. I'm just sitting at home. You know, I have those people too. And I think that's the most dangerous thing because we don't know where this thing is going. We really don't know. Forget the polls. I really don't know where these things are going. This thing is going. I cannot predict. I'm not gonna say Biden's gonna win for sure because no,
uh,
the
Sade, was your
temperature out
husband?
here is different from what I see the polls I see. So
Sade, was your husband Biden from day one, from the jump, or did he have somebody else who was his first choice?
yes,
Oh, he was
my
Biden all
husband
the
is
way.
an Obama. He's still a neo-lib. He's an Obama person, you know. So that transferred to Biden.
Yeah. Well, yeah, most of the people in my circle started as Bernie supporters. So, yeah, I know one that was just totally fine with it. But, it's going to be okay. Um, I think no matter what happens, we're all going to survive, just as a group,
Yeah,
just because there's a
I
lot
think
of
we're going to
resilience.
survive no matter what happens. I understand people who really want to vote for Biden, but because I get it. I understand it. I get it that they want to vote for Biden because Trump is a threat. You know, I get that logic. At the same time, we have to respect people who say, you know what,
Yeah,
I'm not doing this.
I'm not
People
going to
have
try
their
to.
principle, and
Yeah,
they
I'm
have
not going to
every
try to
right.
control what anybody does, man.
And
Win or
they need
lose.
to stop this vote shaming people. They just need to stop, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like survive today, thrive tomorrow. It's gonna be all right. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna just wrap it. It's been like an hour and a half. We all got stuff to do. So Sade
Yeah.
is here. Marcus is here. I'm Brandon. So on behalf of y'all, this is what I've been thinking. All that good stuff. So we'll talk to you again after a little while. See y'all
Next
later.
week.